So thank you very much, everyone, for coming here. Today I will talk about the intersection between artificial intelligence and policy, and how we can improve our policy and the governance of companies by integrating artificial intelligence and collective intelligence. Collective intelligence, we will define it, but it's a concept that has been used in different organizations like MIT Center for Collective Intelligence, and we are working with them. And they introduced the concept of superminds. Superminds is a system that is integrated by people and also artificial intelligence. So it's human-machine interaction, and how human-machine interaction can lead to new ways of digitalization, because digitalization is not only about permeability of technology and data, it's also about how artificial intelligence is also helping to humans to get better policy and governance frameworks. And this we propose is the way towards digital incubators. Digital incubators, we will propose what it is. So having this introduction, every organization in society will have different types of organizations. Organizations are normally hierarchical. You have different types of profiles. You have different types of levels of hierarchy till the end you get to policymakers and boards, executive and non-executive boards. So all the time you are dealing with decision-making tools. In these decision-making tools traditionally have been process-based. So you have different type of process ongoing in your organization or in the governments, and this includes a lot of people, a lot of bureaucracy. But this bureaucracy and these people is organized hierarchically. This means that you need to follow specific flows of information till you get from the decision maker to the people that is collecting information. So in digital flows, we have introduced a lot of cloud services, a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of data collection methods, a lot of data analytics, and we are going, as our colleagues were saying, to different levels of digitalization depending on the needs of the society. But it's getting to the people in the society, to the decision makers, and this is something that is happening, and it's called AI and data-driven policymaking, and it's happening to a very little extent, because normally policymakers and executives don't manage a lot of data. They don't manage artificial intelligence workflows. So they still been using traditional tools, and then it's the people below that they are using a lot of data analytics. So this is not clear which is the network and the topology of the policy and governance. So what we are proposing, and where we will be moving forward probably with most likely with digitalization, is to a tangled network of people and artificial intelligence and digitalization, like it's hybrid human-machine network flows. And this is the topology of what's going to happen, because we will be all connected to different applications, and policymakers want to have data from different applications. This is called the digital revolution for United Nations, where policymakers want to have data from your mobile phone data or your car or your credit card to know better profiles for sustainable development or for policymaking or for customized policies. And also big corporations want to know the profiles of the population to extract data and start data to get better products and understand better the consumption patterns. So it's going to be a lot of organizations and people that are connected, and they are connected through technology. So technology is going to connect, but it's also going to be necessary to create the data, to have good data and to compute the data, and eventually also to get insights from the data. So there are 4 different uses of artificial intelligence when you are talking about a hybrid human-machine network flows. It's communication, it's connection, it's computation, and it's also creation of the data. But how we define this kind of system that is a hybrid human-machine? If we look at the number of people that we need to build a system that is suitable for governance, we need to look at different types of organization models. And we know from the different number of people that is involved in the system, we go from individual contributors to projects, to teams, to programs, to workflows, to hierarchies. And if we go into the level of thousands of people, we go into democracies, markets, ecosystems, communities, movements. This is very important because the larger the number of the people, the more complex is the system. And the more complex is the systems, the more data you have, and the better is the artificial intelligence. So why we want a digital incubator for policy? Because we will be able to have communities of thousands of people that are working and interacting with machines. And it's going to be a network of people and machines, as we were saying in the slide before, that is going a network of people and machines in the scale of thousands of people that is going to take action, that is going to decide, that is going to ingest data, is going to, so it's not going only artificial intelligence, where it's going to the artificial intelligence, because we know that many of the systems are semi-supervised. So this is going to be a complex system between machines and people. And it's what we call a supermind. And a digital incubator is a type of supermind, because what is needed? In one axis, we have a combined intelligence of people. So we go into civilization and society, and when the more the people, the more intelligence is the system. But if we want into massive intelligence, we go very vertical into using and the digitalization that we have at the moment is very customized to the person level. So you have a lot of apps for your mobile phone, or you have social media, but it's all the time targeted to very few people or to one person. But if you want to a larger scale, you may have systems for a company like enterprise resource planning that is targeted for tens of people. But if we go for thousands of people, we don't have that much intelligence. So only social media and the web are this kind of intelligence, this kind of digitalization, but they don't have a lot of artificial intelligence. So we go to go into more connected networked intelligence. So it's not only about social media and setting your profile. So it's integrating networks when you have nodes and edges, and this nodes is going to be either a person, or it's going to be a machine, or it's going to be or enterprise. So it's going to be a tangled network of factors, and it's going to be human-machine interaction. And it's this kind of intelligence what we call where we can place a digital incubator, because we will have thousands of people working as an incubator, but they are connected, and they are connected through artificial intelligence, and we can get different levels of representation and knowledge from the network using artificial intelligence. So for artificial intelligence to be the next step, we cannot just focus on the mobile phone of one person. We have to look at the interactions of many people, like we do in human mobility, because in human mobility, we have millions of people moving, and you can create a network, as we will see later. And from this network, you can extract a lot of knowledge. But if we want to get into policy making or governance, we need the opinions of many people, of thousands of people. So it's where do we place the digital incubator. And it's very interesting because when we are talking about digitalization, it's very interesting because people are aware of a lot of things. This is the red and blue dots. But if we use artificial intelligence, there is a lot of information surrounding the person. We call halo, is the shaded area. It's a lot more information, and this is a flow of information, and artificial intelligence can extract a lot of information from there. So what we need to do is to extend in digital incubators the knowledge that people have. It's not going to be all the knowledge that the people can have. This is a latent variable that we don't know. It's a lot of information that is flowing for different people. If we want to analyze all the data for all of people, we will have a complete system. We will know everything from everyone. No, we need to extend what the people know specifically to a higher level, and it's the level of policy. And for this is necessary to integrate artificial intelligence and the knowledge of people. So this is why we consider a digital incubator, and which is the kind of artificial intelligence that you need to do on top of a network. So this is an architecture where at the level you have a lot of data. Of course, you have apps, you have mobile phone, you have chatbot, you have also surveys. A lot of people use surveys now for digitalization, for recommendation, for commercial purposes, but we will need to also to scrap in the social media. In the web, and the different type of reports of the companies. And this is done all with data scrapers and APIs that extract all the data. So it's uplifting on and leveraging all the data that is around to put in an architecture. In architecture, it has to be also connected. It has to be done with a digital architecture that is based in blockchain to have transactions. And when we have these transactions, we will have a bank of data where you can measure the transactions between data from different organizations. And then if it's connected data, because you need connected data for artificial intelligence to work better and to have relational data. And from there, you can build different type of federated analytics. Federated analytics is algorithms that go to the different companies and extract information, make it algorithm and get the data from there. So it's not that you put all the data in the same place, it's federated. So the data is in the company's place or it's in the person's phone, and you run an algorithm there and extract an indicator. So it's going to be this kind of federated analytics. And then from there, you get into high level artificial intelligence to identify anomalies or to find predictions or dependencies. And then you will manage all this information with different types of suites for management and policy making, which is our dashboards, but it can be priority maps or different types of alerts. It's going to be a full or a suite of management. And this is important for the Sustainable Development Goals because there is a lot of latent data in the society. But when a policymaker wants to make a question, they don't have the data, they don't have the information. You have to make the data flow from the social media, from the apps to the higher level, to the management suite. So then the decision makers and policymakers can make a decision. And there is a public side, but it's also a private side. And this is when it's called governance. When the private side, you need to take into account a lot of variables within the company, and you have to make it go from the low level of the company, not papers, you have to digitalize all the company to be able to go to internal monitoring and external monitoring. And when you have the analysis of competitors, of your reputation, of price, of sustainability, and then you also have information about financials, you can make integrated governance. And when you have integrated governance at the level of the enterprise, you can go into a different type of governance based on visual analytics, interactive tools, and digital infrastructure. But at the end, what you have is to provide to boards to different type of tools to make decisions. And once you are in the decisions, you go into the network because you are now belong to the network and you have a lot of data that is integrated. For instance, you have an enterprise and the enterprise connects with individual connections, and these individual connections are connected to the network. And then you have a lot of knowledge machines where you integrate artificial intelligence when sense data with artificial intelligence, with Internet of Things. And this is a complex network of companies, people, and artificial intelligence. This is what we call a supermind that is public and private at the same time. And an example of metastructure that you can put here is the narratives, because when you are interacting social media in people and you are transferring information, you can analyze this with natural language processing, which is an artificial intelligence tools. And then from there, you can have information from the network because you have relational data and you can identify different types of competitors, influencers, stakeholders, and you can apply machine learning. So you can have the network of people, but you can have also the network of the conversation and make semantic analysis. So this is the kind of artificial intelligence that has to be built on top of the network. And with that, you can have different types of monitoring tools to understand, for instance, which is the participation of the people in a specific domain, or which are the key topics, as you have in Twitter now, but you can also see that as a relational data, like the network at the right. This is a small video. You can have different parameters of the network, like closeness, betweenness, and you can have different types of statistics to file the relay network of the concepts that are underlying the social media. So we will be progressing to different type of metastructures that are built not on digitalization. No, it's not digitalization, it's meta-digitalization, because you have social media, but on top of that, you will have analytical tools that allow you to understand better the network of the people. And this is what we call a supermind. And which is the future? We will have superminds, which is the metastructures integrated with the network of people that this conversation, interactions, cash transfers, but also we propose the superbrain, which is the distribution of people around the globe to make governance, because it's not the same that you talk about something in a network, but the network has topology, but also has topography. It means that people in one part of the world are worried about one thing, and people in another part of the world are worried about another thing. So it's really a map. It's not just a network. So what we have in the network and the digitalization is different companies that are located in different places. And when you put a network in a place, it becomes a brain, or we call it a brain. And this is the future, that we have networks that are, you have a network in the United States and you have another network in Europe, and they are interacting, but they are different. And if you measure the difference of the network, you can understand a lot of things for policy. And what we need, of course, as our colleagues were saying, is a lot of data permeability with geolocation, because we need to know where the people are, not just for security or for surveillance, to know how the world is working and how are the interests of the people in the United States or in Europe. And then you need data permeability in your phone, in your applications, and you need to share the data through federated architectures that are secure. And with federated architecture that are secure, your algorithm will be running in a specific database, and the data is not transferred, so the data is safe. But you need data permeability and data sharing to make the digitalization possible, because otherwise we will stay at the individual level and not the level of the supermind of the collective intelligence. Thanks. If you have any question, I will be happy to reply.
Thank you so much, David, for your amazing presentation. We do have a few questions in the chat box. I'm going to start with how do ethics document change the global AI landscape?
So I think it's very important, because in one thing you have the principles. The principles have to rule how we use digitalization, and it's not a clear ethical framework for all the society, because you need principles to lead how we use the ethics, and also how the people are going to analyze your data or create an application for you. So it's the first step is all about principles, and you have proper principles. They have to be compliant. For now, we don't have a specific government that make ethical principles compliant with the digitalization, but we for sure need it, because if the digitalization goes wrong, at the end, people will not want the digitalization. So we need the principles from scratch, and from scratch, they need to enforce the principles. And after the principles, you need to make sure that people behaves in a way that is correct with the power that gives you the data, because if we are in a connected world with a lot of data, it's not possible that we don't work with an ethical framework for all the things, because you have personal interest, you have corporate interest, and if we are going to have a small world, it's okay, but if we are in a connected world with a lot of artificial intelligence and digitalization, you need to make sure that everyone is aware of what they are doing with the data and with digitalization.
Mm-hmm. Another question is, what's next for AI ethics, policy, and governance?
So for now, as I say, we are in the age of data-driven policy, and it's something that is happening, for instance, in United Nations, that people want to have data to make reports and have evidence-based policy and governance. We are in the era of evidence-based. So evidence-based is very important, because you are able to have data from telecom company or from satellite imagery in the NASA, and then you integrate this data and you make your report, and then you have evidence if you want to take a decision. So we are in the era in the evidence-based. If we want to move to next something, we will need to be into more connected world, that where people and artificial intelligence interact, and it's not a report-based policy making. It's more with dashboards and with tools that get to the policymakers and the decision makers. So they have to go digital. And for now, the policymakers and the executives are not so digital. They don't use digital technologies for making decisions. We have to go up from the level of digital user, digital citizen, to the digital policymaker, and it's not clear how we are going to do it, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of resources. You have to go digital, all the society, for the decision makers to go digital. So at the end, it's like we all go fully digital to change policy and governance.
Mm-hmm. So there's another question: why digital government should be important for your country?
So I think the first thing is for ethics, because we are going all digital, and then governments have to go digital to be more transparent, to be more fair, to be more accountable. So there are a lot of ethical principles that have to be applied for government. And if you want to apply them, you have to go digital and with artificial intelligence, because it will be a more transparent government, a more efficient government, and so on. And the other thing is because we are going all digital and we are changing the society into a more connected society with social media, with the different type of needs that our colleague was mentioning in the Maslow pyramid. And if you go digital into the society, you need the government to understand that and to use that, because it's a social value. So the society cannot evolve digitally and the government cannot evolve digital. So, so digital revolution enables a lot of principles for the government to change and to be better, but also the digital government will be like the next step for humanity, most likely, because as I say, we were proposing digital incubators because it's all about participation. If you are able to participate in the government through a digital incubator instead of the traditional democracy, we are progressing into new types of democracy, which is very interesting.
We have also another question: in which way can the university, from science and its educational disciplines, develop efficient and effective governance models?
This is a super interesting question, because this is what we try to propose with digital incubators, because for now you have a lot of students. Students can become part of democracies if they are connected through artificial intelligence to policymakers. If you are able to have a super mind, which is a human machine system, which is hybrid, and you have in the same network, you have policymakers, but you have also students, it's possible that the university can play a role in policymaking, because for now, university only plays a role in providing science for companies to develop new technology, and sometimes university develops some new technology, but universities can become part of the government if they are in the same supermind as the government. So it's all about how you connect people, and this has to be with artificial intelligence, because policymakers don't have the time to start making traditional questions to students, like they don't have the digital spaces either. So which are the digital spaces where you can interact? So the universities are a good place to create digital spaces, and also digital incubators where you have a lot of people connected to policymakers. I think universities have to play that role, intermediate role, to connect people. All the roles of artificial intelligence that are connection, curation, communication, and computation, university is the best place to do it. And also they can help private companies to get into larger ecosystems, because for a startup, it's very complicated to get into ecosystems. So universities can foster innovation with type of metastructures. It's something that we do also in UCL with different types of projects, that you have startups, and the startups has different type of systems to monitor the impact, to measure the progress of the company. So you need digital tools for startups to be reliable, because as our colleague is saying, you need a lot of KPIs, you need to do evaluations, you need to do roadmaps from the beginning and milestones, but this is normally done from one people or one person or two persons that are in the management team. How we change from a management that is based on two persons that is working on evaluation to a larger framework that you can evaluate 100 startups, and you put that startups in a larger context of the society. So universities can make a lot of things connecting through artificial intelligence.
We have also democracy and digital illusion, utopians or dystopians who are winning the empirical battle.
I don't think that none of them, because I don't see dystopians to win the battle, because at the end people, as we were saying, we have ethics. People have ethical principles to use digitalization, and they also, you have it, but you also enforce your providers to have ethical principles. So there is no a single company that is being dystopian and destroying the world with digitalization. This is not happening because we have ethical principles. The problem is that we need higher ethical principles that are broader for the utopians to get a better position, because it's very difficult to have a very digitalization that is not focused on a single person, but in groups of people and communities. So if we want to get into communities, we need also better or broader ethical principles that we were saying at the beginning. So I think this is very important, for the utopians to have more impact, because the more complex you want to make the digital world, the more ethical principles you need, for sure.
One last question. Can you distinguish the determinants of the quality of corporate governance specific to a given type of enterprises?
So this is something that we are working on, for sure. Which variables are the factors that are relevant? The idea that we have is that you can do this based on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it's not going to be only human decided, but it's going to be assisted by machines. So itself, the corporate governance of a specific enterprise is a specific supermind, where you have traditional workers, but you have new artificial intelligence. So this is very interesting. If anyone wants to collaborate, we are happy to work on this, because we are working on this from UCL, and how you are going to make the next generation of governance. Because when we talk about policy, we need to be in the scale of thousands of people. But when you talk about that enterprise, maybe the enterprise are 50 people. How you make a Superman, a machine, human hybrid system that is composed by artificial intelligence of 50 people is very interesting. And it's something that we are working on. I think there are many things that you can look, but as I mentioned, I think I will put a lot of more needs in the digitalization, because people only have personal needs or communication needs or social needs, but we have latent needs of having a lot of data for companies to do better with us. Because if they don't have data, they cannot implement any kind of digitalization or artificial intelligence. They have a lot of data. So again, a lot of principle to make sure that dystopians don't win, that our digitalization is safe, but for sure we need a lot of digitalization for companies to do better with us.
Thank you so much, David, for your time. I guess we have no more questions. Thanks for this amazing